Let's get into it. A lot of people keep asking me, what is my routine? What is my diet? What is my training program? All of that stuff. I'm going to drop a training program probably within the next couple weeks or months or so. Maybe take a class in certified personal training or something like that. Because even somebody as strong as myself, somebody as quote unquote above the standard as myself, I still have a lot to learn. So I can really be able to help everybody that's around me. Basically, I'm just going to go through my routines for the past couple years to how I maintain, such a physique, as you can kind of see on the screen right now. One must know that if you look at my transformation from when I was 13 to 16, my original video that kind of took off on the platform, I was a twig when I was a kid. I was damn near anorexic, except I wasn't anorexic. I was just very skinny, very, very skinny. But I was always strong. Even though I was skinny and skinnier than a lot of people, I was fairly tall, I was fairly lanky, and I was stronger than a lot of people. Because I had an athletic background, I played sports for a large part of my life. And even among people that play sports, I was still naturally stronger than them. Just talking about just physical strength. We're not talking about size. We're not talking about muscle mass, anything like that, or any of the other components that go into a physique. But I was just always just strong, able to just move and jump higher than a lot of people, just more athletic. I was never the most athletic. I was never the strongest, but I was in the upper echelon 9 times out of 10. Anyway, that's beyond the point. So what I'm saying here is that I didn't start off with any type of size. I was never the fat kid that had to lose weight. I was on the skinny side. I was the skinny kid that had to put on mass, right? And I did it. I put on mass over the years. I played football. I did what I was told to do by the coaches in the weight room. And basically what they had us do was a lot of high intensity workouts, a lot of reps, a lot of volume, especially in the winter, while also playing to the tune of a snap count, which would be 45 seconds. Because the coach literally looked up and said that the average time between the plays is 45 seconds, and he had us work out to, simulate the effects of a game. Because during the game, it's when you run a play, you're using all of your muscles. You're using all max effort type workouts, right? That's kind of what football is. When you make contact with somebody, you're using your legs, your arms, your whole body, your spirit, your heart, your mind. All of that stuff comes into the fore. So that's what we did for years. That's basically my training program for from when I was in 10th grade to 11th and 12th grade, right? And whenever I was on my own, I kind of just lifted just heavy. I did a 5x5. It was very standard. Initially, when you lift, even for us as a football team, we did a lot of 3x8s and 4x10s and 3x10s and stuff like that. It wasn't until my senior year where we really started to, shorten the reps and do high levels of strength, less than 5x5s, more 3x5s on heavy power cleans, or 5x3 on bench or stuff like that. That happened, mainly towards, the summer and towards the beginning of the season. Because you don't want to keep on damaging your body by doing lots of reps, because you're not really training for mass at that point. You're really training to maintain a high level of physical prime power, a high peak. So what that means is that you would squat heavy weight, 90% of your max, so a couple reps or whatever, just to maintain that high end power, because that's the high end power that you're gonna need when you're on the field. Football is a game of not muscle mass. It's not a game of who can lift the most reps or all that other stuff. No, it's a game of the fastest and the hardest for 40 yards. Who can take off faster, who's quicker, who's more agile, who's more powerful up the seam, who has stronger full body potential, who can run who over, who can dominate who for a couple seconds apiece. It's not a stamina game. It's not something where you have to continuously run for the entire length of the game. You take breaks in between. So it's all about bursts. Football is a game of bursts. And yeah, I train as a result of that, to train to be able to do those bursts as optimally, as efficiently as possible. Now, whether or not we got the best out of it relative to other training programs and other schools, it's up for debate. I don't think we did, to be honest, because for starters, a lot of us didn't really take the weight room seriously. And number two, I was virtually one of the top 3 strongest on the team, 175 pounds, while we had linemen that weighed around 300 pounds, or at least 250 plus. Which is not really a good thing. That means that they weren't really taking the weight room seriously, and I was, or maybe I overcommitted to it. I don't know. Whatever the argument is, it doesn't matter at this point. I took that philosophy into my years after high school football, because in the year following that, in the months following that, I still trained like I was playing football, like I was still, ready to play, right? And even to this day, I still train as if like I'm ready to play today. You know, because I still have hopes of like one day returning to the field, whenever that might be. Whenever the case presents itself, whenever the opportunity comes, well, I will always be ready. You know, that's what I said to myself. Like, I'm going to play the position. I can always get back right. I will never not be ready because I'm going to stay ready all the time. But in between then, I had to work. And what I did was I worked at UPS, right? And, you know, that's when I kind of fell back to earth. I kind of lost a lot of mass or whatever for like the first couple months because I was depressed. You know, I was trying to balance UPS and college life at the same time. And it was pretty depressing. It was crippling, you know, and I wasn't mentally strong enough to get through it at the time. So depression took off like 20 pounds of muscle and made me a shell of myself. So then in my 17 to 18-year-old body transformation video, I basically went back from like 159 to like 173 to like 181 by the end of the video before I turned 19 years old. In between then, I was able to hit the gym. I was still doing, you know, the football workouts, but I toned down the 45 seconds thing. I was taking longer rest periods or whatever. You know, I was kind of slacking off a little bit as far as like my conditioning goes. What I did after that, or what I did, you know, during the workouts, like I said, it was kind of more the same stuff, you know, muscle ups and, you know, added some other stuff for fun, like planches and one-arm pull-ups and stuff like that because it was fun. You know, it's all for entertainment. Yeah, it wasn't really necessary. It wasn't a part of the workout, but it kept me sharp. It kept me in shape. And obviously UPS is not like you're not doing anything. You're literally throwing boxes the entire day. So for 5 to 7 hours a day, you know, I'd be in there like bending over, picking up boxes, like straight leg deadlifts all day. Varying sizes, varying weights from like 1 pound to like 150, right? And just overhead press and all that stuff and medicine ball throws, you know, aka throwing boxes from the front to the back of the truck over and over again, right? That's what I did. And even though it wasn't making me stronger, it kept me shredded. It kept me hungry. It kept me a beast. Fast forward to, you know, the summer and stuff like that, I would be in there wearing hoodies, you know, for mental reps, for mental exercises. Like I'll go in there 100 degrees outside with like a black hoodie or black sweatpants, and obviously my black boots, dressed in all black with a toboggan on sometimes. You know, I didn't do this like every single day, but I did it consistently. At least like 2 to 3 times a week, because why not? You know, I needed that challenge. I needed that ability to tap into my manhood. I needed that ability to tap into my masculinity, to tap into my Y chromosomes, to tap into that lion that's inside, that animal, that beast, that monster, that Saiyan, that Super Saiyan, that super soldier, to tap into the mutant that's within me. You know, I needed that. I needed that adversity. I needed that smoke. I needed them reactions. Like I needed people telling me I was crazy because I lived for it. I was fueled by it. I powered through the summer. I did it. I overpowered my temptations to take it off because I soaked in the sweat. I soaked in, you know, I took it all in. I was a monster. Loaded 400 low rate, 500 low rate, 1,000 low rate for like 20 minutes. You know, all that type of stuff. Like I was the best player. That's how I basically stayed in shape for the past like 6 years. I stayed muscular. I stayed, you know, with the gorilla back. I stayed monstrous. I stayed like a super nigga. I stayed like Superman. You know, I stayed in Spider-Man physique. I became addicted because I couldn't run from it. If you can't run from your situations, you gotta adapt to it. You can't always run. Sometimes you gotta rise above what's in front of you. You gotta ascend. You gotta embrace it. You have to become a product of your environment. You have to take that bitch over. You can't always just rely on, oh, I can always just go this way and that way and that way and that way. Sometimes, like, you're gonna run yourself into a corner. Sometimes you're gonna take the right turn and you're gonna see a dead end, and then what? Either you're gonna run to the war, you're gonna jump over that dead end, you're gonna jump into a black hole or something. Like, you can't always run. You gotta fight. You gotta stand your ground. And that's what I did. I introduced challenges to myself. I stayed ready. I stayed in shape. I stayed consistent. You know, and I stayed ready to bust heads. I stayed, you know, listening to like, you know, old music like Tupac's, the Biggies, the Jay-Z's, the Hoves, the Crime Mobs. You know, I know Jay-Z and Hove is the same person. Anyway, right? Like the Busta Rhymes, you know, the Lil Jons, the Ludas back in the day, the T.I.s from the early 2000s, the Lil Waynes from the early 2000s, you know what I'm saying? Getting my cornrows back, you know, wearing more wife beaters and stuff like that, like getting dirty, getting down to dirty, you know, maintaining my life in the trenches a little bit. You know, even though I don't smoke weed, it's not important to me. Like, I just stay sharp. I stayed an animal. Moral of the story is that the reason I stayed ripped, the reason I stayed shredded, how I stay shredded all the time is because I never lost my edge. I never lost who I was. I was a workout guy my entire life. I was an athlete my entire life. And even if I'm not on the field right now, I'm still preparing as if I could get back at any moment because I love the game. I love competition. I love being stronger than other people. I love the fact that I'm a dog. Like, I have something that other people don't have internally, just being insane in the weight room, being insane, in fields of life. That's what I like. That's what I like. I love challenges. The idea of it's hard. Like, I need to work for it. I need to just grit it out. I need to thug it out. Like, I love that type of shit. It just fulfills me. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. I live by that too. God's shield. I am God's warrior. I have God's shield on me. And with that shield, I can plow through anything. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Even if you don't believe in the Bible, you can translate it any way you want to. You could say that stuff only applies to yourself because you are a spiritual person. I do not care. What I am telling you is that I maintain who I was. I never folded on myself. And I will continue not to fold on myself. And even when I feel like I fold on myself, I'm always get back up. I'm going to bounce back. I'm a basketball. But soliloquy over here. Stay hungry, stay an animal. And that's how you stay real. It's CJ Insane. You can, follow me on Instagram. I post stuff like this on my story all the time. I post my workouts on my stories all the time. Or you can, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Because obviously I got a lot more in store for y'all. I got, programs. I got mental training coming up. Like, as in just mental stimulation. Because the things that I watch on YouTube, it makes me think. And I want everybody around me to think. I want people watching me to think as well. Because that's the only way I feel like I can have real impact on the world. Because everybody's seeing, everything there is to see basically for the most part. So yeah, the time is now. We about to get started. Like I said, EJ Insane. Subscribe. Like, comment, share. Stay ripped. Stay hard. Stay you. Love yourself. Love the world. Love everybody. We to the top. And yeah, we out. My bad. I was rambling.